Hey everyone, it's Coach Mo Faul. Welcome to another fantastic interview with a client of mine. She's over there. Heather Garcia, welcome to the Coach Mo Client Success Story Interview Series. I know that's catchy, but welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you and can't wait to share some of my story and how we know each other.
I know. We had the pleasure about a month ago of seeing each other in person for the first time after knowing each other for over a year, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah. Probably
Been-
on the way to 2. Yep. We're almost there.
Woo. Wow. So Heather, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're going on, and then we'll kind of like go back in time a bit.
Perfect. Yeah. So I am so many things. That question. I am a mom. Who am I? So I'm a mom of 2 toddlers. Ergo an avid coffee drinker, and my husband and I have been together for about 14 years. And as far as occupation goes, I'm actually now a corporate trainer at a company that has about 1,200 on the way to 1,300 employees. So I'm the only one. So again, avid coffee drinker. And I guess apparently a little bit of a closet comedian, but otherwise that pretty much sums me up.
Wait a minute. You're not a closet comedian, are you?
The comedian went back in the closet. The comedian took a back seat for a minute. But yeah, I did do a little stand-up comedy back in the day. I think I need to reinvigorate that.
Yeah. So when you and I first met on our Clarity call, you're telling me it was almost 2 years ago.
It was August of 2016.
Whoa. I'm like going, really?
Mm-hmm.
So I know exactly where I was now that you bring that thought process to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you? What was going on with your life? And what prompted you to make your Clarity call and kind of take a dive into, maybe I should talk to this woman and see what's up?
Well, I actually started looking for just career improvement in general, and you know how Google and Facebook are, they're very intuitive. Mm-hmm. And I started searching, Facebook for career advice and Google for career advice, because I was at a point in my career. I was on the insurance consulting side of the world, helping small businesses with their insurance needs. And I had done that my entire adult profession, increasing levels of responsibility, but insurance all the time. Well, my degree is in poetry, so, which is probably how I became an insurance agent, but, it wasn't exactly why I thought I was on the planet Earth. So as I start trying to figure out how to just be better at my job, I started to then start question, is this the job I want to do? What else is out there? And an ad for you, I think, came up on my Facebook feed. So I sufficiently stalked you on every platform I could find.
And I'm on all of them.
Yeah. I think I saw you on Periscope and YouTube.
Right.
And I just fell in love with your energy and personality. And I thought, I at least want to talk to this lady. So saw the webinar, connected with you, and was really kind of blown away. Didn't know what to expect from a Clarity call, but it was so insightful. And it also made me realize, and you, I think, asked me the question, Mo, of if money didn't matter, all of these things, visioning your future, what would you be doing?
Yeah.
And I sure as hell did not say insurance.
I'd be doing more of what I'm doing right now. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
The answer.
And that was the challenge too. I think the reason I got to where I was, and I was at the management level and all of this stuff, I was raised as, do your best all the time. And so I got really, really good at that.
Yeah.
And I also got really good at tamping down anything that said, why are you doing this?
Yeah. Shut down the inner voice that's like, there's more for you, Heather. Shush. I'm trying to pay my bills. I'm trying to keep a family. I'm trying to live life the way it's supposed to be done. You probably know this from working with me and being in my workshop and all of that. There's a lot of women who come my way who are multi-talented. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, God bless humanity, multi-talented people just are not devoured very easily by other human beings too easily. You can't be funny and be in a serious job. Mm-hmm. You're being too serious. How come you don't like me? It's just like, blah, all of it goes on. And then we typically spend so much time pushing down those parts of ourselves that make us feel alive, but like other people aren't really interested in seeing that too much. And other people ends up being the 8 to 10 hours a day we put in our work. So that's a whole lot of time that we're shoving things down. What did you realize you were shoving down?
You know, for me, I think it was that I just had lost any sense of creativity. I was in a department where we had to do things the same because there are procedures, and it did make sense and still does.
Yeah.
And I really lost myself. You know, when you and I had talked, it was right after I had become a mom.
Yeah.
And that is just a whole other guise you have to put on.
Right.
And I really realized if I knew who I was before, which I probably didn't know myself as deep, I know for sure I didn't know myself as deeply as I do now.
Yeah.
I sure lost whoever I did have a connection to when that happened. So I felt like I was just floating in space. I called you because I wanted a $2,000 raise, and I wanted to figure out how to negotiate a raise, right? And then we just went all kinds of directions. Yeah.
And I think you threw that trial balloon up after we got off the call. Did you not? You tried to navigate a raise.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
yeah. And my boss wanted a spreadsheet, and then I went and asked her for pretty fair market raise, and she laughed in my face.
Who's being the jokester now?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, it's interesting how everything kind of evolved, because that wasn't the end of you and I talking and working
That's
together.
right. That's right. So from time to time, and there might be some women who watch this, from time to time when I have a clarity call with a woman who I know I can help, and it's just for some reason there's too much fear between where you were and what I do. Sometimes there's a real budget concern that we put as the condition. Well, I clearly don't have the money. How could I possibly grow and evolve? I can't invest in myself. Have you met my budget? Have you seen I have small kids? Mm-hmm. So we put all of these reasons why we're not doing it in front. Well, I don't always do this, but I followed up a call with you. Mm-hmm. And I think I caught you in the car driving back to Indiana with your mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, Heather, this is Coach Mo. How you doing? You're like, oh, no. She's going to make me think about my career again.
Yeah.
Was that kind of what you felt when I called you back?
No, I was so excited to hear from you. And I was so impressed, it really meant a lot to me, and I think, I'm sure you have quite a lot of clarity calls, and I know each one of them holds a special place, but that was my only clarity call ever. This is the first time someone had ever wanted to help me, help me help myself. And it meant a lot to me that it wasn't just you missed your chance. Good luck with your life.
Right.
That was nice.
Burn out. Boom. So when I called you back, you and I had a certain different conversation. Yeah. And I was at the point in my business where I needed someone to help me do clarity calls. Mm-hmm. And I said to you, hey, would you consider this? And you're like, I'm driving. I cannot handle that right now.
Was that what I said? That probably is about what I said. Let me think about it. Let me get back to my home state.
Right. Let me get back to you in about 6 months when I've returned into my life.
And you know what? Thank God for you for holding so much space, because there was still so much fear. There was still so much possibility and expansion, and I could see it. Yeah. But until you get used to taking that first step into fear, it's wobbly.
Very.
And then you get that momentum, and it's like, okay, like you don't have to do something scary every single 5 minutes. Yeah.
Well, I think what we decided was you were going to do my workshop and check it out and see if it was for real and see how helpful it could be. And then we would figure that out. So you came into my workshop.
Yeah.
I know what my experience was with you in the workshop, but talk about what that was like for you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it was fantastic. One, to see other women that are exactly where I am and who are growing and evolving themselves and stepping into so much expansion so quickly. And then taking for the first time in my life, much less with kids, right?
Right.
Taking the first time to take stock and go, who do I want to be?
Yeah.
I mean, at one point I thought I wanted to be a poet. And so that's, I spent $25,000 a year to make that dream happen. So now that I put it that way, this seems like an obvious choice.
This was a no-brainer.
That wasn't it. And just, you really helped me identify my core beliefs
Yeah.
and start visioning for something, instead of just wandering around life hoping that someone would, I mean, forget my career alone, right? Like the career stuff is obvious.
Yeah.
You will get whatever job someone will give you if you don't know what you want and how valuable you are.
Yeah.
And they'll pay you what they want to pay you to.
Right. Exactly. But
But
they want to pay you. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to understand my worth as a person, as an employee, as a wife, as a mom,
Yeah.
and just my worthiness, I
Mhm.
mean, that changed everything.
Yeah. I remember, I didn't remember the poetry thing, but I knew you had a creative college degree. I wasn't sure
Mm-hmm.
exactly what it was. Now you've told me that was poetry. You also dabbled in stand-up comedy. Now, I know that's not really the right way to say it, because dabbling in stand-up comedy is not quite what you do. You have to own it in order to
Yeah.
get up on stage. You have to have
Yeah.
a routine and all this stuff. And you had done that. So I'm trying to put the pieces together as we're in the workshop together. But I remember a few things that you probably said to me, and I'm maybe hashing it and I'll ask you to talk about it. But many women who I work with who are creative and have had this idea that they would like to professionally express their creativity,
Mm-hmm.
the practical world and making a living and that creativity is like so far apart. They're on different orbits.
Yeah.
And it's usually like, well, I'm just not going to be that person I want to be. So I'm just going to have to settle for this office job.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have to keep settling and keep settling and keep settling and keep settling. And soon enough, you've pushed all that energy of creativity and happiness and joy and funny and sense of humor. Now, I'm sure you're funny around the office. Okay, I'm just sure of it. But you're probably maybe even when you use that creativity and that comedy, you might not even be looked on as being a serious consideration for a promotion, pardon the pun,
Right.
because they're kind of considering you to be like this person who's just funny. And
Yep.
so,
And treading that like class clown versus
yeah,
super professional that you can trust me with really important initiatives.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's this, I think this thing that happens in this gap between I'm a really creative, funny person and I'm pretty good at my job. I'll never be this. So I guess I have to settle for the office job
Mm-hmm.
and the kids
Mm-hmm.
and the husband. And I guess that's what I'm going to be. Screw
Yep.
the dream.
Yeah.
And then we get into the workshop, and as we're connecting dots and connecting, I'm going to be on a stage. I'm going to be in front of people. And I'm like, hey, you know what? You could do training. Oh, I don't have the right degree. Oh, I don't have this. Oh, I don't have that. Oh, never. That'll never. Nah, 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 nah. Which is kind of like the typical, the brain starts analyzing how it's not going to happen because our fear of who we haven't been able to be gets in our way and starts protecting our dream again.
Mm-hmm.
That'll never happen because of this, that.
Yeah.
So we then spend a lot of time building your inner soul and shining that up. And I will never forget one day when you posted something in the Facebook group about your future self. And that actually created, I'll just call it a lifelong email that I send out to folks. WWFSD.
Mm-hmm.
What would your future self do? You want to talk about what you uncovered and what you committed to sharing with the rest of the workshop at that breakthrough moment? Because that was a big breakthrough.
It really was, Mo.
Yeah.
My future self has really good taste. So I just, like we were saying earlier, I started to see this vision of who I could become. And especially over my lifetime of, struggling with weight and other things, it was like, well, what would my future self do? If my future self was having a darn good day, she wouldn't go get a cheeseburger, right? Like, come on, please.
Right.
So I was working
from
home at that point and went to the grocery store, and I was just in a great mood. I was vibing high. It was just one of those days.
Yeah.
And I grabbed a couple of scallops at the seafood market, and I saw this old lady struggling with her milk, and I was like, let me help you, like so energetically that she probably almost called security on me. Helped her out with her milk, grabbed the lottery ticket, won $20. I mean, it was just this fabulous day. And what I love about that memory is, unfortunately, not every day has had a $20 lottery ticket and scallops, but it made me realize that you can just put yourself in this mode. There's just this other level. And it's like I got a quick taste of when you are true to yourself and when you show up for yourself, this is what you get to have. And
Yeah.
it was like a preview of the future self.
Right.
And I'm so glad that you share that and found value in that, because I still ask myself that. I
Uh-huh.
still ask myself, what would future Heather do? And she really is like, she's borderlining on pescatarian, vegetarian. She doesn't eat a lot of red meat. I don't know what's up with that.
Okay.
Unless it's a real good steak, maybe. But yeah.
So you're choosier about what you really want to
Right.
spend your calories on, or spend like whatever, not just
It's intention.
eating. Yeah. Right.
It's intention.
Yeah. So that future self, she then started realizing that she could do other things. And I know when we first started talking, one of the big things you had was, I want to help women. I want to inspire women. And so naturally, as women, we a lot of us have that. Like, I want to help other women evolve and that sort of thing. I was basically, Heather, if you want to do that, you're going to have to break free of all this self-imposed stuff, because you're never going to inspire people by staying in your cage. So as you were finishing up the workshop, we decided to work together. And I brought you on as my first career breakthrough strategist.
Yeah.
And I trained you how to do my clarity calls. And we had a whole lot of fun with the training. And it's deep work when you ask a woman what's not working. And you have to hold that space to talk about that. And you want to just talk about what your experience was with that, and how that, what that brought you to, as far as.
Well, yeah. So what I will always take away from it is, I know even in the cases where women were still in that fear, or had those conditions, or whatever the reason was that they didn't immediately sign up to change their life, I know that their life was still changed by that call, because my life was changed by that call.
Yes.
And I found so much pride and joy in that, and also heartbreak. It was, like you said, it is deep work. It is deep work. And so it was awesome. And the women that I did see enroll in the course, and I got to see them grow through the course and see them in the graduate group, and I still see them in the graduate group.
Yeah.
I mean, I have made lifelong friends, just watching these women say yes.
Yes.
Go into jobs that are tailor fit for them, literally, because they wrote them, some of them, this is my job and this is my salary. Thank you so much.
12 weeks later, it's yours.
Yeah. And just to see them step into that, and their lives are so much richer. Their relationships are so much deeper.
Yes.
It has just been a total joy.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we like I said, it was deep work, and that was sometimes challenging for me. It was hard to see people say no. And I think maybe I didn't hold the space for myself and them in that, and it became a little difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so then there was like this, okay, now what am I going to do? And I know you struggled for a minute or two to try to get your feet back. And to me, in watching, you learned how to truly step into your power through that.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you would never look at and go, sign me up. Yes.
Sign me up for that trial and tribulation period.
Right. 6 months of, wow, okay, that's going to be interesting. So yeah, I mean, it was like, if I had reservations a year before, what I went through at that point was totally different. And, Mo, I mean, I'll just be really honest. It was dip in the 401k, savings is not a thing anymore.
Yep.
And, apply for every job you can find. But Mo, I was applying for jobs I didn't want. Yeah. And then, the universe had the foresight, obviously, to not give them to me, which is perfect, but I look back on that time actually really, really fondly. I mean, I think the spring and summer of last year is probably the most I have ever grown professionally, for sure, and just personally. And, it showed me you can go through something that 2 years ago you thought would have broke you.
Yeah.
Like broken your spirit. Yeah. And you come out 10 times stronger.
Right.
And then you come out a completely different person who does stand in their power.
Right. And really, it's not totally a totally different person. To me, it's the you that's always been there.
True.
And it took a little bit more about my story, but it sometimes takes, I call it the valley of darkness, whatever we want to talk about, the threshold of fear, whatever all of those things are. It just seems like the universe is set up for taking us through a process of breaking down before we really emerge. And it's like nature with a seed. And I have this saying that I read all the time. If you watch a seed have to break open and completely self-destruct before it lays the roots down and creates a new plant, like you would think, oh my God, this is terrible. I actually am watching construction outside my window for the past 7 months, and it's probably got another 2 years in front of it. Like, this looks like a disaster zone. But we all know that they're constructing a new building, so we're not overreacting. But if someone drove by and didn't know that a new building was coming, they'd be like, oh my God, what are they doing?
Do something about this.
Right. And that tends to be what happens in life. It's like we get this destruction period.
Yeah. But you can't get to the bedrock that you build this new foundation on if you don't go all the way down. Yeah.
And you know, from the workshop, I mean, you went down several layers to pull yourself up, but there was more for you. There was more for you.
There was, you know,
and look at you now, sister.
Look at me now in a conference room. You know, what's so fantastic, Mo, is I actually ended up back at the same company that I really adored, but in a role that not only would I have not allowed myself to even try for had it existed before you and I talked. I think that my having left, gotten some new experiences, and then, you know, being totally open and available for this brand new open position they just created of a corporate trainer, lended itself perfectly to it. So, you know, after applying and interviewing and spending the whole summer just kind of reeling, this just kind of popped up out of the blue.
Out of the blue, as we say in code language of the universe working for us. Out of the blue. You'll never guess what happened, no?
You after know, 17 years,
right? You're not the only woman. Department. You're not the only woman who has gone back to their old employer and in a reinvented, totally different role. And to me, it's just like proof that you're the one who changed. The company, for all intents purposes, is the same freaking company it was a year ago. You changed. So energetically, you bring something new to the table. You bring a higher level of possibility. You bring confidence that you didn't have.
Oh, for sure.
The past Heather would never have been running around the country doing all that. She would have had, with all due respect, a whole ton of excuses and a whole ton of why that wouldn't have been doable. I mean,
it's Condition City. It was.
You had to throw some dynamite and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah. And you know, it's and this is why I love the clarity call, even in and of itself. You and I talked and you were like, what would you want to do? You know, what would it look like? And I remember two of the things that I really plucked out, you know, besides deep relationships and, you know, self-worth and all of those things that are going to be ongoing, I'm sure. Right. I wanted to stand on a stage and make people laugh and think. So I didn't want to just like be a comedian in Akron, Ohio from Thursday to Sunday, tip your waiters, you know. I wanted to like put some real content there. And the other was that I wanted to travel more often. And now I'm in a training role where I stand in front of 25-ish people for about 3 or 4 days, teach them everything they need to know. We make it a ton of fun because 3 days of training, if you've ever sat in it when it's not fun, like for everyone.
Right.
And, you know, I've been everywhere from New York to LA and Tulsa and Arkansas, and I'm going to San Francisco, and I just need them to get to Hawaii.
Dear CEO, could you please expand to Hawaii and maybe some other fun places? Like, have you met the European market? Maybe we could go there.
If you want to go international, that would be great. But yeah, now I'm doing it. And, you know, honestly, Mo, if I had to have put a timeline to it and just done it myself, I would have set that as a 5-year game plan. You know, let me go get every certification ever, and I'll do these minor little trainings. And here I sit, 8 months in the job. We have our annual conference next week. And I have been told so far, the agenda is still getting finalized, that no qualifications. It's happening. that I get to talk about emotional intelligence in front of about 500 people. I'll give myself a round of applause for that.
Well, that sounds like two of your biggest traits, emotional and intelligent. Whoa!
If it was hilarious emotional intelligence, that's pretty much the Heather show. Yeah, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And, I'm getting to MC our annual 10, it's actually a 5K. This is our 10th year. So they wanted somebody that was energetic and fun and all this stuff. And so I get to do that. And I'm just really getting to bring my soul to work.
Oh, what a great concept.
Yeah, I know. We should look into that.
Right.
And I really just get to be me.
Yes, you get to be you, which is smart, funny, interested in helping people, traveling.
Yep.
Having a little freedom from the mom role. Let's be honest.
Mo, I got to tell you.
I'm just saying.
I love on them twice as much when I'm with them.
Right.
And when I get to have my dinner in peace, I really enjoy that.
Yes.
It's nice.
That's the beauty about having a bit of a travel job. I did that most of my career. So here we are, and I want to really focus on some of the last things that you said. If I would have said to you on the clarity call, hey Heather, in less than a year and a half, you're going to quit your current job. You're going to work for me for a while, and you're going to learn some really, really key aspects of who you are and what you want to do. Then you're going to have a little struggle for a while, and it's maybe going to suck. And it's going to test you. And that test is exactly the strength that you're going to need for your dream job of being a corporate trainer. But you know what? You're going to go back to your old company, and they're going to embrace you in a new way because you're going to be vibrating at a higher level of frequency, and your confidence is going to be oozing, and they're going to respond to that because the universe always responds to our thought, feeling, energy. Whether we like that or not, or take responsibility for it or not, it's always happening. So, and then you're going to be traveling the country, and you're going to be entertaining dozens and dozens of people every single week. And then the company's going to realize how great you are, what an asset you are. And then they're going to put you in front of their company meeting and really, really allow you to own the room and totally be you. And that whole idea of being a comedian and inspiring people is going to be exactly the work that you do. And you're going to get paid well, and you're going to be in an organization that there's plenty of room for growth. Heather, how would that be for an 18-month journey?
Sign me up. Yeah, I like
or
how
would
that
you rather
story
agonize that over 5 to 10 years?
I was going to say that's a hero's journey right there.
Yes, it
Yeah.
sure is. It sure is. And that's what we talk about, as you know, in the course. When we can embrace not only our hero journey, but when we know how to express concepts and ideas in that same framework, we can engage an audience and totally own the room and our power and our authenticity. So you and I got a chance to meet up in person a little bit, like maybe almost exactly a month ago.
Yeah.
And you were in Florida doing your thing on the opposite coast, but we had a chance to meet for dinner and have some ideas. And let's be honest, you were kind of like, I say the same thing over and over again. Yeah. So what did you begin to start to accentuate in your training now?
Well, it's interesting because it really is just this opportunity to really own the stage. And what I focus on is integrating brand new offices into our culture, which is a really important part of who we are as a company and why I'm really pleased to be back here.
Yeah.
But it's challenge. It can be a challenge. I mean, it's change management. It is, I don't just stomp in there and go, but this is how we do stuff now.
Right.
And
this is the culture. You better do it our way.
Right. And I thought, you had, of course, a fantastic idea, which I love and I've done twice now, is to just help people see that future self, to really step into, it's a year from now. You don't have any questions about what the heck I'm talking about. Everything's running smooth as silk and you're feeling the love from the home office. And really, I honestly made people shut their eyes and visualize that future self. And it was really fantastic. I think I got a lot of good feedback. And here in the home office, we've been doing some vision boarding sessions. So girl, I'm just putting we're going to the future. We are back to the future here.
We're using quantum field, law of attraction every day in our lives.
Yeah.
Like
I haven't even started talking NLP on them, and then we're just going to go quantum leaps. Give me a second.
So great. What would you advise or help a woman who is back where you were 18 months ago or so? What would you say to her?
You know, because my story and my conditions have so often been money and time, just do it. You know, just do it and it will make its way, you know, and that you have to know. The other is just really understand that you are creating your future all of the time.
All the time.
You know, and yes, our past plays a lot into that, but you know, I kind of had this idea too, Mo, that there were some things about my past I didn't like. So I kind of just cleared my cache. I was like, I'm done thinking about that crap.
Right. Exactly.
I am moving forward.
Yep.
And if you can ask yourself what that future version of you would do, and you know, FYI, she would have a coach. That future version of you knows to lean on people, to be vulnerable, and to take a chance on herself.
Yes. Yes.
And I would say, you know, from a budgetary perspective, just plan on spending like 2% of what you spend on college so you can figure out what you actually want to be in life. Then you can be who you want to be.
Right. Put it to some practical use. I mean, let's invest in ourselves in a way it's going to actually matter.
Right.
The work we do, the career, the earning potential, the future. Now, I gotta think that you've got a pretty strong feeling about who you are every day, but that the path forward, it might not be exactly like all the stop signs and all the street signs, but I'm thinking that you're feeling pretty good about your future with the company and more impact and more influence, et cetera.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing too, Mo, that is for sure. Because I know I'm with a company where I know at a core value, we are aligned, you know.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to see people come into the company, especially as we have this rapid growth, going, oh gosh, this is so much better than the last place I worked. And I've been lucky enough to have, this is my 13th year here. So, you know, I mean, I've been here a long while and I didn't realize how special it was to have what I have. That said, this is not the only company that has that. It doesn't matter if you have that, you can still show up and shine.
Yes.
And I have stopped, you know, I've kind of stopped asking for permission. Like I wanted to start a blog for my training and we talk about, you know, internally we have this internal blog and I talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
I talk about emotional intelligence. I talk about training your brain for success.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I don't need your permission to shine my light. Thank you.
Yes.
But I do have their permission, which is nice. But yeah,
right.
Just show up and
You're not going to say anything like that's going to be
controversial.
Yeah. I mean, being a good person.
Yep.
Being heart-centered, coming from a place of your truth, your authenticity, and your true power.
Yep.
And showing up for work and doing a great job is all what every company wants of their employees. It's just that, unfortunately, no one ever really gave us that rule book.
Yeah.
How do I get aligned? How do I use the power of my soul? How do I come into my full power? How do I show up in a way that is going to be influential, impactful, and not feel bad about it?
Yeah.
And not have to feel like I have to shy away.
Yep.
And you've done that.
Take it a little bit past Myers-Briggs, a little bit past finding your why.
Right.
And go a little bit deeper into that soul level.
Yeah, absolutely.
I learned from the best.
We all have one.
Yeah. Every single one of us.
Yes. Yes. Yes, we do. Heather, thanks so much for visiting and letting me share your story and for you sharing your story with all of my peeps out there. It's great to know you, to actually really consider you a friend, client, and someone who I cannot wait to watch continue to bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom.
Well,
Loving
thank you, Mo. And endless gratitude to you.
You got it. You got it. Thanks again. So, folks, if you want to have a story just like Heather's, it's mofaul.com/strategy. And just look below here for other links and other opportunities to start gaining a sense of bringing your soul to work. This is Coach Mo Faul with my great client and friend, Heather Garcia. Thanks again, Heather. See you next time.
Thanks, Mo.